Peter denies Jesus. The story of Peter denying Jesus is one of the most human, painful, and revealing moments in the Bible. It is not just a story about failure. It is about fear, weakness, love, and ultimately, the crushing weight of regret. But before we judge Peter too quickly, we have to ask ourselves, what would we have done in his place? Would we have stood firm in the face of danger, or would fear have overtaken us too? It begins on a tense and heavy night, after the Last Supper. Jesus had already spoken words that unsettled his disciples. He told them that one of them would betray him, and that all of them would fall away. Imagine sitting there, hearing your teacher, someone you love deeply, say that you will abandon him. Would you believe him? Or would you, like Peter, insist that your loyalty is unshakable? Peter was not weak by nature. He was bold, outspoken, and fiercely devoted. When Jesus said, "Before the rooster crows, you will deny me 3 times," Peter couldn't accept it. How could he? This was the same man who had walked on water, who had declared Jesus as the Messiah. He responded with confidence, almost defiance. "Even if everyone else falls away, I never will. Even if it means death, I will not deny you." But how often do we overestimate our own strength? Soon after, Jesus was arrested in the Garden of Gethsemane. The atmosphere shifted from quiet fellowship to chaos and fear. Soldiers, religious leaders, and a mob came with torches and weapons. The disciples, who had once stood so confidently beside Jesus, suddenly found themselves overwhelmed. They scattered into the night. Peter, however, didn't run far. There was still courage in him, still love that pulled him closer. He followed Jesus at a distance, making his way into the courtyard of the high priest. This detail matters. He didn't completely abandon Jesus. He wanted to see what would happen. He stayed near, but not too near. Isn't that how fear often works? It doesn't always push us to leave entirely. Sometimes it convinces us to keep our distance, just enough to feel safe. As Peter sat among the servants and guards, the firelight flickered across his face. The tension in the air was thick. Inside, Jesus was being questioned, accused, and mistreated. Outside, Peter tried to blend in. But then came the first moment. A servant girl looked at him closely and said, "You were with Jesus." It was a simple statement, but it carried danger. Being associated with Jesus at that moment could mean arrest, punishment, even death. Peter's heart must have raced. In that instant, fear spoke louder than loyalty. "He denied it. I don't know what you're talking about. Why did he say it? Was it instinct? Panic? Self-preservation? Have you ever reacted in a moment of pressure, in a way that surprised even yourself?" Peter moved away, perhaps hoping to avoid further attention. But the night was not finished with him. Another person recognized him. Again, the accusation came, "You are one of them." And again, Peter denied it, this time more firmly. By now, something was changing inside him. The first denial may have been sudden and reactive, but the second was more deliberate. Each denial made the next one easier, yet heavier. Isn't it strange how repeating a wrong choice can both numb us and burden us at the same time? Then came the third moment, the one that would break him. Others standing nearby became more certain. They pointed out his accent, his manner of speaking. "Surely you are one of them." This time, Peter didn't just deny it casually. He began to call down curses and swore, "I do not know the man." Not just Jesus. The man! How did it come to this? How did someone who loved Jesus so deeply reach the point of distancing himself so completely? And then, at that very moment, the rooster crowed. Time seemed to stop. The sound cut through the noise of the courtyard. piercing straight into Peter's soul. Suddenly, Jesus' words came flooding back. "Before the rooster crows, you will deny me 3 times." Luke's account adds a detail that makes the moment even more powerful. Jesus turned and looked at Peter. Imagine that look. It wasn't a look of anger or condemnation, but something far deeper. A look that said, "I knew this would happen." A look filled with sorrow, understanding, and perhaps even love. Have you ever disappointed someone who truly believed in you? And in that moment, when your eyes meet theirs, you realize exactly what you've done? Peter couldn't bear it. He left the courtyard and wept bitterly. Not just tears, but deep, gut-wrenching sorrow. This wasn't just regret over a mistake. It was the realization that he had denied someone he loved at the very moment that person needed him most. What hurts more, the fear that led to the denial, or the memory of it afterward? Peter's story doesn't end with his failure, but in this moment, all he could feel was guilt. Crushing guilt. The kind that replays every word, every choice, over and over again. Why didn't I stay strong? Why did I say those words? Could I have done differently? Isn't that how regret works? It traps us in the past, forcing us to relive what cannot be changed. But there is something important to notice here. Peter did not deny Jesus because he didn't care. He denied him because he was afraid. His failure came not from a lack of love, but from a lack of courage in a moment of intense pressure. Does that make him easier to understand? Or does it make his failure even more relatable? The story invites us to look at ourselves. How often do we claim loyalty, conviction, or faith when things are easy, but shrink back when it becomes difficult? How often do we stay silent when we should speak, or step away when we should stand firm? Peter's denial is not just his story. It reflects something deeply human. Yet, even in this dark moment, there is a quiet thread of hope woven into the narrative. Jesus had predicted Peter's denial, but he had also said something else. "I have prayed for you, that your faith may not fail. And when you have turned back, strengthen your brothers." Did you catch that? Not if you turn back, when, even before Peter failed, Jesus knew he would rise again. That doesn't erase the guilt or the pain, but it changes what comes after. It suggests that failure is not the end of the story. So what do we do with our own moments of denial, our own failures, regrets, and missed opportunities? Do they define us, or can they transform us? Peter's tears in the night were real, and his guilt was heavy. But those tears were not meaningless. They marked the beginning of something deeper, a brokenness that would later become strength. And maybe that's the question this story leaves us with. When we face our own moments of failure, will we run from them, or will we allow them to shape us into something stronger? Because if Peter, the one who denied Jesus 3 times, could eventually become a pillar of faith, then what might be possible for us? And when the rooster crows in our own lives, reminding us of where we fell short, what will we do next? If this story made you reflect, stirred something in your heart, or helped you see this moment in a deeper way, take a moment to engage with it. What part of Peter's story do you relate to the most? Have you ever faced a moment where fear overcame your convictions? Feel free to share your thoughts, because your perspective matters. And if you want more powerful, meaningful stories like this from the Bible, stories that challenge, inspire, and make you think, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so you don't miss what comes next.